Hey guys, we are here for a little low-key talk with Jason Inman about his new book, and we are coming to you live-ish from San Diego Comic-Con 2019. Jason,
Hey man,
how you doing?
I'm down for the low key, the after hours Comic Con. I love this.
Yeah,
Should have brought a copy of the book.
you should have.
What a bad guest I am.
Your book, Super Soldier.
Yes,
Tell us about it.
Super Soldiers is a book that I've been thinking about for a long time. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and for a long time I've noticed that there has been a connection between comic books and the United States military. And this book is all of my thoughts about characters like Captain America, Captain Marvel, Jon Stewart, the Punisher, who have served in the military, and my thoughts from my time in the military, judging whether or not I think they are good examples of military service members.
So, I assume you go through a wide variety of characters, and do you? Obviously, I don't want you to give us the all your list, but who would? Not saying whether they're good or bad. Who would be a surprise to a lot of people that was a military character?
I don't know if there's a surprise. I mean, Captain Atom is, I would say, one of the most surprising chapters because he's a character that many DC fans forget. You know, the big silvery guy that shows up at events and tells Superman, they're like, oh, the president sent me, and don't stop doing that, Superman. No more mullets.
I'll get behind that.
Well, that's kind of the way he's been written like the last 20 years, and he's actually a much layered and more in-depth character. I'll give you spoilers. He's actually a great example because he was a member of the Air Force, and he's a great example of the loss that military service members can feel when they get sent overseas to deployment. I mean, the one character that a lot of people have been surprised about that I included is Beetle Bailey. And a lot of people might be like, well, he's a comic strip character and your book is only about comic books. But in the 60s, Beetle Bailey was so popular, they published him in issues called Beetle Bailey Comics. So, yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I did not know he was on.
Yeah.
The more you know, guys.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been thinking about this book? Because I know you've been your heart is really with the soldiers and the troops. You've done fundraisers for sending comics to the troops. So I feel like you have to have been kind of working this over for a while. But when did the idea for this book start?
The actual production of this book started about a year ago. It started about July of last year when I reached out to a company. I was actually reaching out to a company about another book. And this, as that happens in publishing, they were like, we don't want that book. Or this is not the right year for that book. And so they're like, do you have any other ideas? And this was one of the other ideas. It literally started with a paragraph. I was like, this is the paragraph. This is the idea. And they were like, yes, cool. Can you turn in the manuscript by December? And okay, off to the races we go. You know, I'm going to turn on 50,000 words. But that's yeah. But no, I've always wanted to do something with the connection between military and the superheroes because, again, they are more connected than people realize, and they have a special connection to me because when I was overseas in Iraq in 2005, I received a care package, and in that care package was an issue of Superman and an issue of Ultimate X-Men. And it was the Ultimate X-Men issue that intrigued me because I was suddenly like, why does Wolverine have a goatee? And why is Nightcrawler a murderer? And that's what sort of like really spurned me back into comic books. And that's also the same instance that led me to create the John 1 comic drive for service members.
Yeah, those were some wonderful issues.
Hey, I actually like him, Mark Miller. So you can hire me anytime on a Miller World book is what I'm saying. I will bring back goateed Wolverine in a heartbeat. Just saying that. Throw it out there, Marvel.
God, man.
I love that I've stymied you.
You stymied me. Now I can't get goateed Wolverine out of my head. So you were given the green light on this book.
Yeah.
You're off to the races. What was that like? Did you first sit down and be like, okay, I need to first come up with my list of all the characters, and then you're like, well, now I just gotta read a bunch of comics.
That's kind of what it was. Like originally,
Best job ever.
Yeah, it was an instance of who do I put in this book? Who are the ones? Because I couldn't put them all. And fun fact, in the final book, there's 16 characters. And originally I wanted to do 20, but as I was writing the book, I was realizing that this book was becoming too long, and so I had to cut some people out and who were the most important people. And then once I determined the list, when I had the original 20, I literally spent a month reading storylines that dealt with wartime and military and sort of like I didn't read every Captain America comic, but I went back and was like, I need to read the first 20 issues of Captain America that have ever been published. And that's where you learn like all the fun stuff, the nitty-gritty stuff. Like, fun fact, in Captain America's first issue, he's in America the entire time. The Red Skull attacks him the entire time. The cover of the first issue of Captain America is Captain America punching Hitler in the jaw. That issue came out in March of 41, before Pearl Harbor. So America was not in the war. And fun fact, I learned that there's a lot of controversy with that issue, that people actually thought that Captain America punching Hitler was offensive at the time. And they told Timely Comics, they're like, hey, we don't know if this Hitler guy's a bad guy. Why is your character punching him in the jaw? Again, before Pearl Harbor. So there was a lot of stuff in Captain America's first year, because we think about Captain America that he laced up his boots and walked onto the beach of D-Day immediately. But again, impossible in March of 1941.
Oh, that's crazy. That's fascinating.
You get lots of nuggets like that in the book, is what I'm saying. Just what I'm saying. Yep. I'm going to hold your hand.
So magical. Do you limit it just to the comics for this one? Because with the with all of the animation and with the live action stuff, we are getting glimpses of characters and their military service. Most notably, Captain Marvel. We see a lot of her Air Force time.
Yes.
And things like that. With the Justice League cartoon, we got a lot of Jon Stewart and his time with the Marines. We get a lot of that backstory. Are you avoiding any of the kind of animated live action stuff for this book, or do you dive into it with certain characters?
Mostly. I thought for this book I should keep it centered around comic books, because that's where my connection to it came. Now, there is one character specifically, you mentioned him, Jon Stewart, that I had to dive into the animated series, because the animated series is what retconned him into becoming a military superhero. Before that animated series, Jon Stewart was just an architect. And then suddenly Bruce Timm comes along and is like, nope, he was in the Marines. And then the comic books suddenly were like, oh, crap, he's in the Marines. And then you see every comic book post the animated series suddenly have to explain a military backstory for Jon Stewart. And that's where I get into some issues in the book, where I'm like, some of these people didn't do their research about the Marines. But you could tell they were like, well, the cartoons do it. We got to do it. We got to do it quick. But the interesting thing about that, and I talk about this a lot in the book, is that Jon Stewart becomes a more interesting character once he's revealed as a Marine. Because before then, he was just like, I don't like the police, and I'm an architect, and maybe I'll draw some plans. Oh, I got to be a Green Lantern? But after that, it gives him focus. It gives him character like where he's like, I'm a Marine. Shut up, Hal, you're a stupid idiot. I'm going to tell you what to do. It gives him confidence that the character didn't have before then, because in a lot of the comic books before that revelation, when Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan team up, Hal can always be like, John, you don't know nothing. I know stuff. And John's like, yeah, I'm just an architect. I mean, I don't know. I'll draw some plans. But after that, Hal's like, look, John, you don't know nothing. And John goes, no, you listen to me, man. Like, I know stuff, and I'm going to lead the Green Lantern Corps. And Hal's like, oh, God, okay, Jesus. So that, again, it completely shifts the character, and it's a very fascinating turn where the outside media actually affected the comic books. If I were ever to do a sequel to this book, and I think I might, because a lot of people have asked me about it, I think the most interesting version would be to do a sequel that focuses on the other media and how that represents it. Because it would be interesting to look at that stuff like Punisher Netflix and Rhodey, the MCU, and stuff like that. And I hope that was a very long answer to your very short question.
No, it was brilliant. You said it much better than I did. So, all of these comparisons, all the you're going through characters that that really represent the military well, and the ones that don't. As people are reading this, what do you hope that they will take away from the book?
The biggest thing that I hope people take away from the book is these characters. We've read so many stories, we've seen so many movies, and I think the one aspect that people always forget about these characters is the military aspect. And we all know people that have served in the United States military in our real life, if you're American. If you're not American, then you may or may not know them. I don't know. But if you're American, you probably know a service member. And when you know those service members, even if they're greatly affected by the military or they're not affected by the military, it changes their entire life. It is such a touchstone of their entire life. And I think that we think we know these characters like Captain America and Deathstroke and all these stuff like that, but I think that many times they're not thought about from the aspect of the military first, or how the military lens affects them. So the one thing I want people to take away from my book is to realize that, like, oh, these heroes were either positively affected or negatively affected by their service. And that's a fascinating perspective that I've never thought about them before. And, oh, that gives me a lens into real veterans and real service members that I know in my real life, and maybe how I should think about them and treat them and think about them.
Yeah, a real life truth.
Exactly. Like, I hope through looking at these fictional characters and how the military has affected them gives people a perspective on real veterans and real service members.
Well, that's great. So, first question, where can people find it?
This book is everywhere that books are sold. Super Soldiers, the full title is A Salute to the Heroes and Villains That Have Served Our Country. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Barnes & Noble. You can find it in Target. Walmart has it available. And also, your comic book store can order it for you. If you go to your comic book store and say, order Super Soldiers for me, they can order it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, everywhere.
And I'm jealous. You've got a comic. You published a book. You're working for DC. You're all over the place, man.
I am all over the place. I'm sorry.
But the other question I did have, the fundraiser you were doing, where the comics for troops, are you going to be doing that again?
Yes, every November I do a comic drive. It's called the Jawan Comic Drive for service members. It's with Operation Gratitude. Happens every November because November is the month of Veterans Day, and also because Operation Gratitude always sends care packages around Christmas time. So it's the idea that we get enough comic books to put in the care packages. They go out before Christmas. They always send them before Christmas. But I have people ask me this question all the time. It's totally fine. If you have comic books in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, when we're not doing the drive, because we only do it during the month, you can go to operationgratitude.com and send your comic books to them all year round. They will happily take them.
Okay, great. There you go, guys. That's amazing. Jason, I was going to call you Jawan.
You can call me Jawan. It's fine. That's what my Twitter handle is.
And I only talk to people like they're a Twitter person. Thank you so much for
what's up, at Good Nerd, Bad Nerd?
Yeah, a little bit of a mouthful. Thank you for hanging out, man.
No, thank you, man.
Great way to
it was a pleasure.
So, guys, make sure you check out this book. Order it. Get it from Amazon. Get it from wherever you do it. But get it, read it, and then let Jason know what you thought. So, guys, take it easy.